Hey guys, we're here talking about Toronto FC, the last of the Canadian teams. So obviously I like them because it's Canada and it's awesome. And I've been there a couple times. Probably should live there at some point in my life, especially if Donald Trump is elected president. Am I really getting into politics? Okay, back to soccer. Starting in the back, we're talking about Clint Irwin. He's been with Colorado for a couple years now. Had decent years with them. But Colorado is not one of the best teams in the world. We all know that. They're kind of like the Philadelphia Union. I'm not knocking on you, Colorado fans. It's just the way it is. 5.5. It's a good price. I think he'll have a better year than he did last year. I think he's with a better team. But you have to be aware. Toronto is starting the season off with 8 away games in a row. That is significant. Shutouts don't typically come as often when you're away from home, especially for that long. Now, I think at some point they might get used to playing away. That will become the norm for them. So I think as those away games continue, they might actually get a little bit better. Just a personal opinion. But once they start playing at home, I think maybe these guys, the defenders anyway, and the goalie, will be a little more viable of an option for you. Up from Clint Irwin, we have Drew Moore, who also came from Colorado and has been a solid defender since he's been in the MLS. He's $7 million. That's a really good price for a center back. Again, maybe not at the beginning of the season here. They might surprise some people and get some shutouts at the beginning of the season, but I would imagine Moore is going to get a good amount of bonus points. He might have a goal or two in him this year. So a good fantasy option. Keep him on your radar for sure if you don't pick him up at the beginning of the season here. Beside him is Perquis. I think that's how you say it. $7.5 million. That's who's listed there now anyway. They have some other guys that can fill those roles. But it looks to be him starting the season. He played a good amount last year at 87 points. $7.5 million is not a bad price. For a center back, I kind of like it actually. Relatively cheaper than a lot of the other ones out there. And I think Toronto is going to be a pretty solid team this year. So out from them, beside both of them on the outsides, we have Beta Shore, who I believe is a new transaction for them. I think he came from another team. Can't tell you which team though. Don't remember. And Justin Morrow. Both of those guys are 7.5. So it's strange to me that their outside guys are the same or more expensive than their center backs, but that's just the way it is. Now there's woodpeckers out there. Man, there's birds everywhere. It's cold. Go home, birds. So yeah, both of those guys, good options, but probably later in the season. Again, it's more than I want to pay or that's not more than I want to pay for. I want to pay more for defenders because I want to get the center backs that will be getting all the bonus points. So I would avoid them personally, but I think if you want outside guys, those are both very good options. I like both of them a lot. We're going to move up to the midfield. Obviously, the main man, guy with my same name and same haircut, Michael Bradley. Oh, what a career he's had. It's been so fun to watch him. I think when I first started watching him, when his dad was a coach of the national team, I was like, oh man, that's lame. He's probably only on the team because his dad's the coach. And it is incredible to see what kind of player he has become. I think he's one of the best players on our national team, so one of the best players in the MLS. He plays defensive midfielder. He's great at distributing the ball. His pass accuracy is going to be great and help him out a lot in fantasy this year. Takes free kicks every once in a while. I think there's nothing bad to say about Michael Bradley. I think sometimes he gets worn out with all the national team duties, things like that, but he is a fantastic option at $10 million. Like him a lot. Strong player, and you have goal scorers up front in front of him. So I think he'll get a good amount of assists this year. Scored 133 last year, 5 goals, 6 assists. The year before that was lower in both categories, so I only want to think that he'll get better this year and improve on those numbers. Hope he does. So also in the midfield we have Osorio, who is kind of one of those guys who's been in and out of starting lineups. Sometimes he breaks in, sometimes he doesn't. So be a little cautious with that, but if he does end up being a solid starter for them, $7 million. fantastic price, and he's a little more offensive-minded, I do believe, than Bradley is, playing up the field a little bit more. He's got a lot of potential for points there, especially at that price. Another guy we'll mention is Will Johnson. Love him. Big fan of him. Played with Portland for a while. Solid guy. I remember there was one year he plays defensive mid. So I don't know if him and Bradley are kind of going to share that position together, or if one of them is going to push forward or take turns, whatever. But I'm a big fan. There was one year when he was playing defensive mid, and he outscored most of the midfielders in the league. He did take PKs. I think that helped a lot. I don't think he'll be doing that with Toronto, but he's a pretty solid price at $8 million. I think that's probably about where he should be. I think he has the potential to score a decent amount of points. I mean, it all depends on where he's playing. If he's playing a little more forward, I think he's a really strong option. If he's playing more defensive, maybe not quite as good, but he's got a lot of good people around him. I'll tell you what. We're going to move up on to the forwards. You have one guy here I'm not too sure of. He's actually listed as a midfielder on the fantasy page, but to be playing maybe a wing position is Endo. He's $5.5 million. I really don't know anything about him, but if he truly is a starter, man, what a deal. Playing up next to guys like Altidore and Giovinco, 5.5. If he really is a starter, I think at some point a lot of people are going to have him, even if he just sits the bench, try to gain some money for you, or you need him in a pinch. Could be a crazy good option. I didn't even see that before I did this video. Started it. Crazy. So, we'll recommend him for now just to throw on your bench if you have the extra money. If you don't worry about him. Just pay attention to him. Keep him on your radar early in the season. Jump on him as soon as he starts doing well, so your price goes up. All right, up top. Got good old Josie Altidore. Big dude. Big target forward. $9.5 million. Not a huge goal scorer. I think I get frustrated with him sometimes, especially in the national team duty, because, I mean, that's part of it. The role for the target forward is not always to score goals. It's to cause hold-up play, to get the ball thrown to you from who knows where, and hold up play until more guys come so you can get some help. I think Altidore does that very well. I will say, on the fantasy page this morning, he's got a hamstring problem. Not sure how bad it is. Not sure if he's in jeopardy of playing this Sunday. Keep your eyes out for injury reports and such, and starting lineups. I think they play first this week, so you can actually still change your lineup if you get onto the MLS website a half an hour before the game starts. Sometimes they put them out earlier than that, but look at the lineup for that game. If he's in and you had him on your team, keep him in. If he's not in, pay attention. Make sure you get him out. Beside him, and I think the most important guy in fantasy soccer, at least last year, is good old Atomic Ant Giovinco. What a monster! He's such a little guy, but he scored 251 points last year. If they would have thrown in the new point system with him, he would have been closer to 280. I mean, that's miles ahead of anybody. He's a guy that everybody should have on their team. I think at least 60% of people have him, and there's a very good reason why. Even though they have 8 away games to start the season, it doesn't matter. He proved that last year. Even away games, he scores goals. That's his job. He does it well. Strongly recommend you put him on your team. That's Toronto. I think they have a pretty strong season. I think they'll start a little slow because of all the away games. Once they get to start playing at home again, look out. I think they're a contender this year. I think they'll make it to the playoffs at least. So that is the last team. I'm kind of sad, but excited that I got them all done. I'm incredibly excited for Sunday. I can't wait for the season to start. So now that I'm done, I'm going to go eat some breakfast because I'm hungry. Good luck in your fantasy teams. I hope you all stay in contact with me over the season. I'm going to do a video every week, at least one, just to give you heads up on players, whereabouts of injuries and national team duty, things like that, bargains, guys that are starting for cheap prices. So keep an eye out. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Can't wait for the season to start. All right, guys. Good luck. Bye.